Now, we got a pretty big patch today in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I want to talk about the details of this, give you maybe a little bit of a timeline or an estimation on when this new map is dropping that we know about, and a couple of additional things that I think should be in the works, or at least according to Gunn, are already in the works as far as fixes in the game to bring people back. Now, I would love to hear your opinion on the fixes that they made and any upcoming changes that you'd like to see in the game, because one thing about Gunn is they are really good at responding to people on Twitter, and I know they see YouTube videos, and so hopefully us as a community can make these changes. So no matter if you agree with me or adamantly disagree with me, make sure you leave a comment after the video, and if you like the Texas Chainsaw content that I'm doing here, consider subscribing. Let's go and get into it. Now let's talk about some of the minor things first. The Nicotero Leatherface. Hey, if you paid $16 for this character, you want all aspects of that character, including the sound of the chainsaw. Well, at certain predetermined points in the game, like let's say he was cutting down a barrier or a door, or he was doing his crazy dance at the end, the sound of the chainsaw was like the original chainsaw, not like the special Nicotero chainsaw. And so they finally fixed that so the sound is consistent no matter what you're doing. They also fixed an exploit in Slaughterhouse. For some reason, this blue car that's right next to the tool shed was able to be exploited. So victims could get in here, and if you didn't have a hitchhiker or a sissy, there was no way to get them out. Now, the counter to that, and what some people will say, is that, hey, well, yeah, but that's one less person you have to worry about trying to escape on you. And while that's true, that's assuming that you know that they're going to stay there the whole game. You could climb in there, you could spend a couple of minutes trying to get them out and be frustrated with it. But if you didn't have a hitchhiker or sissy and you left and checked more exits, well, that means they could just hop out and, or just use that as a distraction. To be honest with you, it's an exploit in the game. It should have been taken out. I mean, hell, I was even fine with them taking out the car altogether, but they fixed it so you can no longer get in the car. One less thing we got to worry about. Now, the big one. They've removed the levels of players in the lobbies, and they've removed anybody that's in a party. And so you might think, well, why would they do this? Well, lobby dodging is a real problem in the game. You can spend 5, 6, 7 minutes from the time you try to get into a lobby. You finally get into a lobby. Now you have a minute and a half or 2 minutes, whatever it is now. You're talking about a long time, and then you got to load into the game. And so, this process sometimes, and it doesn't always pay off. Sometimes you just can't fill that one additional slot. You back out, you got to do it all over again. So people might not get the player they want, might not get the victim they want. They might be stuck with Leatherface. They don't want to play as Leatherface. Nobody will swap with them. And so another aspect to this is if you're a brand new player and you see a bunch of level 99s in your lobby, you might be more inclined to back out. If you see a team full of victims all in the same party, you might be inclined to back out. So they've taken all of that stuff away. Now, I think this is one of the best fixes that they've put into the game, and I really hope by them implementing this, it will fix the lobby dodging issue. I personally think they need to lower the amount of time in a lobby. Like if you're not readied up in a lobby already, and of course you need a little bit more time because you don't know what character you're going to get, which is fair. So if you need to take a little bit of time to, get your abilities straightened out or your perks straightened out, totally get that. But a minute and a half, 2 minutes, whatever. If 5 out of 7 people are readied up, the whole lobby gets readied up. And that's the way I think it should be to speed these things up. But this is also important because you don't want to sit there indefinitely, or what feels like indefinitely, just to be kicked out because people are, dodging that specific lobby. Now, I can't believe I'm saying this, but maybe, just maybe, a small, weak version of a skill-based matchmaking might be a better solution to this. So if you have players that are under level 20, let's say, all of those guys get partied up together or lobbied together, and then anybody from 20 on up, you can be with levels all the way up to 99. That could be a better solution, but at the end of the day, I appreciate that they are doing something to tackle this issue because it is a real problem in the game. You got to think, back in August, this game started with 3.2 million players or 3.5 million players. Now it's down to 1.2 million. So people are obviously leaving, and that's kind of a natural progression of a game. People tend to, drop off, right after the game comes out. You have this real big spike, and then when new content comes out, then you'll have another spike, and then people will drop off. So that's kind of common. And even though it's a popular game, it's not like your Call of Duties, your Fortnites, any game like that, right? It's a little bit more niche. But you want to keep the players, and obviously you want to, maybe even grow the base of players. You definitely don't want those base of players, though, leaving the game over things that can simply be fixed. Now, another couple of things I personally would focus on if I was working at Gun is the grandpa cutscene. Has to go. I've been teaching Mrs. Hexshot how to play the game, and she's been having a good time with it. But one of the first things she mentioned was that grandpa cutscene. Like, why is he here? And I totally agree. It needs to go away. If you're playing with Bubba, you have a real solid chance of your chainsaw overheating on you. It's so annoying and obnoxious. They really need to take it out of the game, like, now. And I think overall they've done a good job of mitigating speed running in the game for the most part. I think that if you get a good group of victims, they can still make you look silly at times. And, maybe one possible fix, and you can let me know if I'm totally off base here, but I think it would be a good idea is, have one fuse, one valve per match per game, instead of 3, especially somewhere like Slaughterhouse. It's just way too many. Now, I have seen people complain that the family's ability to turn off the valve so quickly is ridiculous, but you say that until you get stabbed in the back by one of the victims, which slows you down significantly. So overall, I think the balance of the game is in the best state it's been. Slight edge to the killers, but victims still have the ability to run the table, especially if they're communicating well. One additional thing, and this is something I think could be implemented. Of course, we know we're getting a new map. I'm about to talk about that. But one thing they could do as well is add some mini games to it, and I'm going to talk about this in a video I'm dropping later this week, but, they could do like a nightmare mode where there's no perks for killers or survivors. They could even do like a protect grandpa mode, where the whole point of the game is, to either attack or protect grandpa with a timer of sorts. Have grandpa randomly spawn, every couple of minutes or, whatever. I mean, something like that I think would be really cool. You could use your existing maps to do this and give people a reason to come back to the game. And then the new maps. So when are the new maps coming? My best guess is 2 weeks from today, right before Thanksgiving. I thought Halloween would have been the perfect time for them to drop this, and y'all might agree or disagree. But at the same time, new map, new killer, new victim. My best guess is 2 weeks from today. So there you go, man. That's what we have for you right now in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I got another video dropping this week talking about Texas Chainsaw and Dead by Daylight. So make sure you stay tuned for that. And again, if you like what I do, consider subscribing. See you on the next one. And as always, hold them down.